Okay, great. So, hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today, which is the 1st of April on Dyslexia Global Conversation, the first edition of the year 2022. We've had amazing times since 2020, bringing this sort of conversation, be individuals with learning difficulties, individuals who are experts in the field of learning difficulties, sharing information about their challenges and what they go through and why they are even doing what they do currently with you. So we are very happy to have you here in our midst today. So today we are fortunate to have Miss Keisha with us. She is connecting with us all the way from the UK, England. And she is a wife and mother to 4 beautiful children. And she's an international speaker and a presenter on a radio diamond. Keisha gave up her job for 12 years in 2016 to continue her education and to pursue her dreams. She completed 3 years degree and achieved a first class degree in applied sports and exercise science. During her last few years of her study, she was diagnosed with severe dyslexia and dyspraxia at the age of 41. Wow. Keisha went on to achieve merit in her master's degree in health psychology at the Manchester Metropolitan University. My goodness, like I'm wondering, how did a dyslexic get a first class? And so I'm very humbled to welcome you to Dyslexia Global Conversation, Keisha. I have read a bit of your profile. Like I've actually read the entire profile before today, but reading it out loud for people, I'm like, how did you get there? Can you introduce yourself to our listeners and also people watching you live right now here?
Good evening, everyone. Hope you're having a wonderful day or wherever you are in the world right now that you're watching from us. And I'm really honored that you it's picked up quite a few things there in my bio, but by no means my story was always like that. I came from Jamaica at the age of 14 to the UK, and all through my life, I just knew that there was just something not right. And I struggled all the way through. And when I came to the UK, at the age of 14, I got bullied in school really bad because of the way that I spoke and the difference in accent. And it was really difficult because coming from Jamaica and coming from the sunshine, it was freezing here as well. It was so cold. And I started school September. When I started school, I was behind. I started realizing that I'm not understanding anything that they're teaching me in school, not at all. Things like PE, I really struggled in as well because having been severely dyspraxic also, I struggle with direction, instructions, catching a ball, simple things that people find okay to do. You know, riding a bike, I didn't learn to ride a bike until very, very late compared to other children in my district where I grew up. But when I came to the UK, that's when all the struggles and things started to come more to the forefront. However, at the time, I didn't know anything about dyslexia. I didn't know anything about dyspraxia. You know, there's nothing that my parents could have ever done to help me at that time because they themselves didn't know what it was. And when I came to the UK, I lived with my aunt in the West Midlands, for those who are in the UK right now and they can relate to knowing the Midlands. And the Midlands, school down there, the school that I went to was predominantly Asians and white. So it was very different for me. And I spent 2 years in school, but however, it was hard because I came out without not even one GCSE. I didn't come out with any qualifications at all, nothing whatsoever. So that's why I said at the first start that my story was never always this way. It's been resilience and determination and believing in myself that's got me this far. When I came to Manchester to live after spending 2 years in the Midlands, I decided that I wanted to achieve my English because I love writing, I love reading, but sometimes it just wasn't the thing that I, because I learned to read very late as well. So I started at a college called Loreto here in Manchester. By that time, my gran had passed away. So she took me to the UK. My aunt that took me as well, that I was living with, she was in the Midlands. So I was sort of left on my own. I went into deep depression after I lost my gran because she was like my best friend. We were very close. And when I lost her, it was as if my whole world was crumbling because I had no status in the UK. So I didn't have my stay, as we call it, or any naturalization or anything like that. But I persevered. I went to Loreto, and every day I went to Loreto, I remember, anyone officially coming in our classroom, I didn't know who it was. But I was always thinking, is that immigration? Has someone come to take me? Because I don't have the status. I shouldn't be here. But I persevered, and I did my English, and I also did GMVQ, information technology. However, in those classes, I struggled again because I didn't understand anything about programming. We were doing a lot of computer programming, and until today, computer sometimes can become a bit difficult with all the minefield of information and everything. But I had a great teacher, and as they say in life, when you always remember that good teacher who put that effort into you, who have that patience for you, who are able to help you in the way that you need that help. Mr. Ray, I'll always remember this teacher. He was I think he was at the time was the only Black teacher in the school. So I sort of gravitated to him. And when I went through and I did my English, and I did it in Educating Rita for all those in the UK and is aware of Educating Rita, I really enjoyed doing that. And I passed and I got English C, GCSE. And that was the start of the journey. But when my gran was alive, she used to take me we used to go and visit relatives and visit other friends that she had. And they used to have their children or grandchildren put on the wall, in that gown, hat and gown. And I always had that dream that one day, I'm going to be one of those pictures. It was a dream that came to me, and I thought, I'm never going to give up. So, and also another thing, a massive thing that I missed out is whatever it is that in your life, believe in your dreams. Because me doing the radio right now, I can't tell you how that came about. I had a dream because when I was growing up in Jamaica, my great granddad had a little blue radio. I'll never ever forget. It's a little blue radio with two little knobs on the front, and it had a handle. But I was totally obsessed by finding out how is someone in that radio and I can hear their voice. However, I can't see this person. And at that age, I got shouted at, Keisha, you mash up the radio again. That's all I used to get sometimes in his patois. And I used to laugh about it because I used to think, you know what, Granddad, one day I'm going to be that voice in that radio, And I'm so sorry that he passed away and he didn't get to see me fulfill that dream. But I know he's watching over me somewhere. And when I came to the UK, going back to the radio, I'm telling you all of this, not to impress you in any way, but it's to show you and to inspire you and to impress up on you what you too can achieve as a dyslexic. You may be dyslexic, you may be autistic, you may have ADHD, you may be dyspraxic, whatever it is. And my mission with all of this, I'm going to go back to it in a bit. This is how our dyslexic, when things pop in our head, we want to get it out there. My thing is, I always want to put a positive spin on dyslexia and dyspraxia. So I refuse to use the word difficulty. Why? Because it's not a difficulty. There's nothing difficult about us. We learn differently. So my stance on it is learning differences. That's all we have, because we all learn. Even if you're non-typical, even if you're not neurodiverse, you learn things differently if you don't have any of these learning differences. We all learn things differently. So I like to put that positive stance out there, because in our communities, there's so much stigma and shame that's attached to these conditions. And going back to the radio now, when I started on the radio, I was in college at uni at the time, and I saw this email came through from our student engagement officer. And I saw this email, and I thought, you know what, this is a great opportunity. It was a project to work with BBC Radio Manchester. And I looked at the application, I looked at all the information they want. They even want to know, I can't tell you what they wanted to know on this form. There's so much. I got so overwhelmed. But what I did it bit by bit by bit by bit, because trying to do that, put that information there, my brain switches off after probably 10, 15 minutes, probably sometimes less, depends what I'm doing, because our brain, because sometimes we're so hyperactive in the way that we think and we jump to things, and we jump from there, we jump here. So I filled in the application form, and I thought nothing of it. I thought, nah, I'm not going to get on to go. Little me got on working with doing the BBC Radio Manchester project. It's not going to happen. One day I was sat in my lecture, and I got this call from this private number, and I'm always a bit dubious, you get private number, you're thinking, who's calling me on a private number? So I answered, and it was Lawrence from BBC Radio Manchester. He said that we got your application, and we're really impressed by what you've put in there, what you want, the project, the idea that you want to bring to the BBC. I had to go for 3 different sort of like interview process and screening, and as I am very good at talking, this is why I do radio, but the writing side of things, so I was glad there was no exam to do or anything like that. We just had to present our idea, and they loved it. And I got a call and went through the 3rd process, and I got chose to do it with amongst some other great people who I'm still in contact with, many of them right now. So that's what I'm trying to say to you. Whatever dream, so my journey to in radio started with BBC Radio Manchester. Then I went on to 2 ladies show on Radio Diamond, and they kept saying to me, Keisha, you need to ask for your own show. You need to start your own show. And I was terrified. When I mean terrified, because when you think about the radio, you think about all the buttons, you think about, well, how you have to do this, you have to do that. Everything has to be on time. And when I went into BBC Radio, it was like, everything has to be set at a certain time. Anyone who's ever done radio will know what I'm talking about. And when I started, I said, okay, I'm going to listen to these ladies, because, in life, sometimes people can see so much in you that you don't see within yourself. And when people do that, listen to them, because we all suffer from low self-esteem, lack of confidence, and lack of belief as well. That's a massive thing when you have these learning differences. So I went on and did that. Hence, right now, I'm still doing my show on Radio Diamond. So that was a dream that came true, and I held on to that dream, and it fulfilled. So going back to my studies now, I decided to walk out my job of 12 years in local government, most amazing job that I had, but sometimes you have to give up the good for the better. Give up the good for the better. Gave up the job. Everybody was like, how can you give up your job? It wasn't easy. I've got 4 children. I've got a 21-year-old, I've got a 10-year-old, and I've got twins of 7 years old. It's going to be 8 on Monday. So at the time, I talked to my husband, and I said, I need to come out of this job because I wasn't feeling fulfilled. I was struggling. I was really struggling. And because my dyslexia was undiagnosed, they didn't know that I had dyslexia. So in the workplace, there's certain little things like, I'll give you an example, being in the workplace. All my tasks that I found overwhelming, I used to really procrastinate. So I used to just leave them and don't do them until the last minute, because we all do that as adrenaline, and we think that, oh, we've got a deadline tomorrow. And the adrenaline, we stay up all night and we have to get this done, but we have to get it done. That's how some of us are dyslexic work. So when I gave up the job, I thought, you know what? I'm going to continue with my studies. I didn't get to do it because of all the challenges that I had earlier on, not been having the status in the country. And as we do, we have our bills to pay. So we have responsibilities. So we just go straight into the workplace. But the struggle started when I started getting depressed. I was suffering from anxiety because I just didn't know what was wrong. I just didn't click whatsoever that I had dyslexia. No way at all, because I'm amazing at doing so much other things. Going to events, I'm the go-to person for finding all the solutions to the problems. I'm that person who's able to network until God knows what time in the morning, because I've got to make sure all the delegates are okay, because I was working in local government, traveling all over the UK, everywhere I was going, Scotland, Wales, you name it, I've been there with this job. So it was a great job, really. But there comes a time where you have to make that step. And I stepped out. And when I stepped out, I applied for my foundation degree because I had to start from the bottom because I had no GCSEs. So I applied. I remember sat at my desk one day and thinking, I'm going to get fired, I'm going to get sacked because I'm sat here doing an application for UCAS, which is for those who not in the UK, doing my business where I should be doing other people's business. And I sat there and I did the application. Within a week or less than a week, I got an unconditional offer. I was like, yes, Lord, this is it. You're showing me that I need to move forward. I need to step out now. And I did. I even started my course before I finished my work. So I was coming in, rushing from from uni, coming into work, doing my work. And at first they were okay with it, but then thought, you know what, I need to step out because I cannot concentrate on doing a full-time job, running my household and going to uni full-time. And that's what I did. So I went into studying, and when I went into studying, this struggle, everything was coming to the forefront. The way I studied, the way I was doing things, the way I was leaving my deadlines, and because I'm overwhelmed about starting this assignment. And it was the last year of my studies. I made it a mission because I used to just hand in my work with no one checking it. You know, I'm thinking, yeah, this is all right, it's okay. So I was hitting high marks, but I could have been hitting higher to take more due diligence. So one day I decided, right, okay, I'm going to ask for support. So I took my work to the library, and this beautiful lady, Leslie French, I will never, ever, ever forget this lady and what she's done for me. Because I was in the library, I took my work to her and I went back to her and she said to me, when she said this is what she said to me: Keisha, I didn't know you're dyslexic. Well, hallelujah. It was as if the whole ceiling had opened and light was shining down on my head. You know, if you watch a movie, I see it in the what they call the incredible, what my children watches it, and the light shines down. And I turned around and said, "What did you just say?" And she said, "I didn't know you're dyslexic." And she said, "I see the way you write things and the way you do things in your work because I can spot it because I have a brother who's also dyslexic." Well, I never. The email started flashing between me and student services because I only had a few weeks left in that university. If I had left, I would have to pay that £300 for it to be done. So emails went left and right. They got me in and they got me assessed. I am so grateful to these people because I would have left the last few weeks and I still wouldn't have known that I had dyslexia. Got diagnosed with, when I got my report, I did 3 hours of testing. I got my report and it came to say that I'm severely dyslexic and dyspraxic. However, I went on to getting a first-class honors degree. So imagine I'd known that I had dyslexia and be able to get the support. You know, and I'm just going to stop there. I'll leave it there and let Rosalind come in and ask any questions or anyone having the questions because I can talk about this forever.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I was just enjoying listening to all that you had to go through. And I'm like, yeah, those who discovered it late is quite like a whole lot of work you have to go through. And talking about dyslexia, imagine we having a very beautiful program, but because forgetfulness, I even forgot that I should record our program. One of the things.
Those are things that we do, Rosalind. Do not worry about it.
Exactly. But thankfully, we are streaming live on Facebook, so we will have access to the video. But imagine I wasn't streaming. It's like, look at me. We just went like by halfway through and I didn't record. And so this is a typical, like if you're watching us, this is like a typical struggle. Yeah. Because I forgot to turn the document I've written down of the steps I need to take before we go live. It escaped me, and that's a typical struggle. I thought I shared that with you. I feel we are all family, and for you to know some of the things we kind of go through on a daily basis, I feel like I should share that with our audience to know what is happening. But my goodness, it's like a roller coaster. And I'm sure our people will be wondering. I want you to kind of take us through in your normal life before you got to know that you are dyslexic and you have dyspraxia. I know you've gone into it a little bit, but tell us in practical ways. Yeah. How was your life like? How was your life like in terms of learning and even in terms of you being at home as a mom? How was it like for you?
Well, you know, when I had my first daughter, I had her at the age 23. And one of my biggest fear was going out and leaving her somewhere, like going to shopping and just leave and just walking and leaving the trolley, because this is what we do. We have things like, our memory is very short term. So we tend to forget a lot of things. For me, a lot of things as well. Driving in my day-to-day life is a struggle. For example, last week I was going to the dyslexia show in Birmingham. I end up in Leicestershire. And I just have to hold my cool, and just always make sure that I've got enough petrol in my car just in case these things happen. I need to be driving around for the next 20 odd hours. And I ensure little things that my husband will do as well. He always sets the time in my car faster than what it should be, so that I can get where I need to be on time. Because chances are, if I'm traveling somewhere and I get lost, that is going to take away some of my time and I will end up late. I struggle as well with knowing my left to right. So when I'm driving on the on the motorway and the roundabouts, it's knowing which one I need to, because when you're driving as a dyspraxic person and you're listening to the sat nav, you're paying attention to the road, you're trying to read the road sign, you're trying to read what's on the sat nav as well. That's where you're going to be turning off, which lane you need to be in. It's a lot of things going on. So if someone's in the car that can help me, that is a massive help. But if there's no one in the car, it's going to be a massive struggle. Things like remembering things as well and double, triple booking myself. I've done it so many times where I put in my diary, because someone may ring me and say, can you do this, or can you be here, whatever. And I say, yeah. But if I don't physically put it in my diary or my calendar, I will forget. Yeah. So things like that, I always ensure put it straight away and don't think that, oh, you know what, I'll do that afterwards, because I won't. And I'll get a call to say, oh, you should be here at this. And I'm like, oh, no. So those are the things that we have going on. It's day to day. People, because we compensate and we mask, that's the thing that we do a lot. We mask things so much because we've been diagnosed at a very late age. So we've developed strategies that help us in our day-to-day life. Doing the radio, I cannot tell you, sometimes I might be calling the person's the wrong name. I might struggle to pronounce their name. I might struggle to, remember what I'm going to go to in the next topic, what we're discussing. It might just pop out my head. But the thing with me is people always comment about my interview style, because as a dyslexic, we have so much empathy towards others. We have so much great communication skills. And this is why so many of us, which is 40% of dyslexic, are entrepreneurial, because we cannot do the things like, we don't like to be following processes, doing applications, doing all of that things. So that's why we end up becoming entrepreneurs, because we can then manage our own selves and be able to outsource the things that we're not good at. And a great thing that I can tell people on here is skill swap. And I always share this with people, and I share it with everyone. Skill swap is, if I'm great at something and Rosalind is great at something else, I can do what she's struggling to do, and she can do what I'm struggling to do. So you got a great friend, you got amazing people in the network, and they're great at, for example, someone who can manage, like doing art stuff, creative stuff, but you struggle to do that. You can skill swap, because you have another skill somewhere there that somebody else needs. So that is a great thing. And even in the workplace as well, if people are in the workplace, there is a task that you have to do that you find really tedious, and it takes you forever to do, 20,000 hours to do it, because it's not your strength. It's not your passion. You're not passionate about it. So you get bored and you don't want to do it. Outsource that to somebody else in the office or wherever you are that is good at doing that thing, and you do something else for them.
Absolutely. Like, skill swap is very, very, very essential in our part, because we don't like to follow a process, and any process just overwhelm us.
Application forms, paperwork, it's not for us.
I tell you, I sometimes see some very great opportunities that I know I overqualify for even the opportunity. But just the mere fact that I need to fill just a little form and write myself,
yeah,
I wouldn't even go there at all. And that is a headache. So there are so many things that I know I've missed opportunities on, that I'm like,
yeah,
you silly girl, you could have gotten yourself into this, but because of your inability, so you have to just
It's not inability though. It's nothing to do with inability. It's a case of it's overwhelming, and you think that you can't do it because of all of what's required from you. Your job, you can do it with your eyes closed possibly, but it's getting through that initial process of completing the application form, going for whatever test. That's not the thing. Test and exam we do not do well at. You know, don't give me a test. Ask me to talk through whatever the test may be, but don't ask me to be writing numbers and be doing all of these processes thing. It does not work for me.
Absolutely. That was the word. It overwhelms me. Like anything like that overwhelms me. And this brought me, when you talk about the driving, I was laughing because last week I had visitors here in Accra, and I was very fortunate. One of them decided to drive, and they want me to be the GPS. And imagine me being the me being a GPS for them. And we will be turning left, and then I'll be saying turn right. And they'll be like, there is no right turn here. I'm like, oh, no, I mean left. And this happened more than 20 times when they were here. And they were like, so how do you go about? I'm like, yeah, I'm always missing my way. Thankfully, I don't get myself involved in accidents, but that's serious.
Yeah, it really is. And that's, you have to be able to keep your cool as well, because when I got lost, I was trying to get to the event because I wanted to see the first speaker, the MP, Matt Hancock, because I wanted to ask him a burning question. And when I saw the time coming up and I'm on the motor and I'm trying to get there, and I don't know, it's like God just took me on the right road and took me on the right place to get to the NEC on time. When I got there, he had about 10 minutes left on stage, and soon I got there in time. But I totally relate to you when, you know, I'm laughing because if somebody said to me, can you direct me to such and such place? It ain't happening. We're going to be late. I'm just prepared that you're going to be late.
You know, sometimes it's as funny as if I want to turn my left, then probably if my left is this way, I need to turn myself like this. And I'm like, okay, left is here. But if I'm facing here and I'm like left, and I mean left this side, then I'm going to be confused. And so it's a struggle. And our listeners and viewers, this is what's like we sharing about some of the things we go through on our daily basis as people with dyslexia, dyspraxia, and other learning difficulties. We encounter so much. And today we are hanging out with Keisha, all the way from England, but of course technology, so we could connect with her. And she is someone who has severe dyslexia and dyspraxia, and she's sharing her life experience with us. So if you have joined us, this is Dyslexia Global Conversation. And once again, we are hanging out with Miss Keisha. I would encourage you, if you have a question, you raise your hand or you put your question in the chat box, and I'll be able to read it out for Keisha to help us get information on it. We are also streaming live on Facebook. And so right after this, you can share the videos on our Facebook page, Africa Dyslexia on Facebook, to your fellows as well. So please keep your questions and comments also coming. Keisha.
Yes, I want to shout out to a few people that's on here right now, actually. Leslie, Setia as well, all the way in the Midlands, and Leslie's here in the UK in Leeds. They are my dyslexic sisters as well. I really appreciate them being here to give support. But, you know, everyone got to understand that we all have a set of unique strengths, massively. And we have to concentrate on the strengths, and whatever that we find as weaknesses, they're there, but don't focus on them. Don't focus on them. Just think about your strengths that you have and what you've got to give to this world. Because you know what? Us dyslexic, every employers, every organization, they need us because of the way we think. We think outside the box. We find solutions to problems. Anything, if you know a dyslexic, you can know that they have a creative side to them. Very creative. I've got Leslie on here, and I am so proud of Leslie because Leslie, like me, has taken the journey of going back to university I'm not even saying how old she is right now, she probably killed me, but she's gone on and she's doing amazing things. She's doing photography, she's doing journalism. And that's the things that we are so, drawn to, because our skills will shine in those areas. Me doing the radio, I'm passionate about doing that, because I enjoy bringing people out from the community who are doing amazing things. We love to help other people. We have so much empathy and, helpfulness about us. And someone said to me this week, I've got an amazing mentor, a lady who's been mentoring me recently, because I needed someone to mentor me. And she said to me, Keisha, I absolutely love what you do, but you've got to remember, you cannot save everyone. And I say, why not? But it's true. It is so true, because what we can do is we say yes to everything. And then sometimes it's not necessarily conducive for us, because we just want to help. We just want to help. I get people reaching out, even this week after the dyslexia show, people are reaching out to me, struggling in the workplace, struggling with parents and schools. So much is happening. But this week, since coming back from the show, it's opened up my eyes that I can't believe what I've seen at the dyslexia show and the people that I've met, because you have some amazing people in Tamar as well. Yeah, she's on here, Tamar. I think she's on here. I met her for the first time in person, even though I've had her on my show interview, but she was there as another dyslexic and she came to see the show. But what I realized was that us that are Black and we're dyslexic, we have a double, triple whammy going on. And some of us who are women also. So we have the added things. And what I've realized is time for us to shine, time for us to be proud, time for us to shout about what we are and who we are. Shout out to LinkedIn right now, because if anyone's noticed, LinkedIn has got, shout out to Richard Branson, shout out to Kate Griggs from Made by Dyslexia. They have been campaigning, and I'm going to get to campaigning in a minute. They have been campaigning, and dyslexia now is a recognized skill on LinkedIn, because there's so many of us and we're everywhere. Also, I've started my own campaign. I've started a petition, and for those who haven't signed it, I am going to be posting the link after this for people to sign it, because what the government is trying to do here in the UK is to bring a barrier to those who haven't passed their GCSEs, and hinder them from getting funding to go to university. This is big, because like myself and all the dyslexic that I know, there's so many that went through and didn't get a GCSE. They did not get it, but they've gone on to university and later on in life, and then that's when they got diagnosed. So I'm passionate about this petition so much, because we cannot sit back and let this happen, because we've got to think about our Black community here in the UK, where our young children are going to be struggling. And if they're going through school and not being diagnosed, there's no support. And if they're not supported, they will go through school and not pass their GCSEs. It's known, it's happening right now. So shout out to everyone. There's so many people in this space who are doing great things, but us as Black people, we need to stand up and own it, and stop being embarrassed about what we have, because we have something great. We totally have something great. The shame, the stigma, the embarrassment that's attached to the dyslexia, it's really, really bad. And I'm seeing it more and more, where people will see that in our communities, parents will spot that there's something wrong with their children. Not wrong, there's something that's going on. There's nothing wrong with them. There's something that's going on, but they're in denial. And if they're in denial, that child won't get diagnosed, that child won't get the support, and that child will possibly end up as a statistic in school where they've left and didn't get a GCSE. When they go on in life now, what's going to happen? If the government bring in this bill to say that you cannot access funding, I owe about £50,000 right now for doing my degree, or my degree and my master's. That's about £50,000. Who has got £50,000 to pull out the pocket to go and do all of the studying without funding and help to do it? Nobody has. So this is important, guys, and this is why I'm so passionate, because I have 4 children. My children are also neurodiverse, and I'm proud. And I'm proud, because what you got to remember as well, this condition is hereditary. Please, if you got children, nieces, nephews, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, godchildren, keep an eye on their learning. Do not let them go through what I've gone through. When I spotted there were certain things with my children, my daughter didn't get diagnosed until, and I feel in many ways that because I didn't know what I was going through, I wasn't able to support her and help her in school, in primary school. And it's only when she went to university, she got diagnosed. When I contacted the college that she was in, they were saying she's leaving. There's nothing we can do right now. So when she went to Manchester Metropolitan University, we're both at the same university, and she got diagnosed and she got all the support that she needed. Just like myself, I got all the support I needed for my master's. But without a diagnosis, you will not get that access, that support. You will not get DSA. In the UK, we have something called DSA here, Rosalind, which is disability student allowance, and you'll be able to get a laptop, printer, assistive technology that you may use in your lectures to help you. So things like Sanacent is there to help you read and write. All of those things are there, but you have to have a diagnosis to say, this is what I have. Without it, it's neither here or there.
Support, yeah. I mean, like the advanced world are far in this regards. We over here in the developing countries have a lot to do. So I'm actually happy that the support is there, and all you have to do is to get the right assessment done to be confirmed if you have dyslexia or any other form of learning difficulties, for you to receive the support you're looking for. And this is why African Dyslexia Organization, we are doing the work we're doing by raising awareness, creating advocacy, and asking for support for people with learning difficulties in our countries and here in Ghana and also across Africa, because we feel like a lot needs to be done on the in our live audience here. I know we have teachers, we have parents, and I'm sure they are listening to you, and you talking about all this great stuff that is happening there. I'm hoping one day we would be lucky enough to have those things as well happening in our country, where children get the required help and assistance they need. So our teachers are pretty new, and that's why last month, which is March, we're fortunate to have Dr. Seti from California to organize some trainings for our teachers. And this is going to continue to July for them to get the required information they need to at least start being kind and nice to our students in school. And I like the fact that you commented on denial, because I do have parents who actually have diagnosed their kids to be dyslexia, but they don't want to accept. It's like they feel it's some of like taboo or something of that sort. I don't know, but they just don't want to accept it. And we need to keep talking about it. And that's why we do Dyslexia Global Conversation, aside all the stuff we do, for people like you to share your experience, for parents and teachers to see that, oh, you can actually have a child who has different way of learning in my school, but they will go out to be great. We do have all these Richard Bransons and all the names we go back and we are mentioning them, but then when it comes to say Africa, then what are the names? Or when it comes to the Black community, where are the dyslexic who are really also doing something great? And through this, we're going to amplify and get the list also and celebrate those people. Leslie was here. She actually raised her hand. I don't know.
Leslie, yes. I would love to hear from Leslie.
I don't know. I think she
Leslie,
went.
are you there? Do you want to unmute? Is she there?
No, she's off. When she comes again, I'm gonna call her. Please send in your comments or questions if you have anything to ask Keisha. As we keep going on, we have 2 minutes to go, but anything to ask Keisha. As we keep going on, we have 2 minutes. You can rewatch this on our Facebook page, which is currently going on, so don't worry about missing out. Do we have anyone who have a question before we go on? If you do, please raise your hand and we will let you speak. I see Dr. Seti here. Hello to you. I see Benes, Debbie, Doreen, Elizabeth. We have quite a number of people here, and I'm excited to see all of you by bringing your questions and comments. So now you went on to study to become a health psychologist. Is that what you studied, right? To
Yeah.
help, is it to help people people with learning difficulties?
My passion, I've always been fascinated by the brain and how it works. So that's why I went into doing health psychology and leading on from my degree that I did also. However, it was never my intention to go and work, say, in that field in the NHS in the UK or anything like that. My mission is to empower other dyslexics, to empower the parents, to empower the teachers, you know, to let them to understand it's breaking those barriers that's going on right now. It's breaking those shame that's within our community, because we have some great people in our community and they just need that confidence, and they just need to see that there's nothing wrong with you. And going back to the cultural thing, there's a massive pressure that's put on our children in our cultures, that when you think that your child is not performing the way they should, that's when the denial can kick in as well. So sometimes we think that we might want our child to be a certain profession, for example. However, that may not be the profession that your child can go into because of their learning difference. You know, there's certain things like if there's a dyslexic child and you say you want them to be, for example, an accountant, and they don't like maths, it's not going to happen. So it's us just understanding what our children is passionate about. I have 4 children and are all so different in their own way. You know, my daughter, who's one of the twins, she's very arty and creative. The boys, I got 2 boys and 2 girls. The boys, maths, all of that is their thing. However, I have a fear of maths. It's not my thing. So we've got to just be able to identify what they're passionate about, help them and nurture that passion that they're interested in. If they're interested in photography, get them a camera and nurture that and help them to move forward. Not the ideals and the thing that we may have planned for them is not the way it's going to go, you know. And here in the UK, that's a massive struggle that's going on, where in the schools they're really failing our children to identify. Because me being dyslexic and being diagnosed at age 41, I was able to spot differences in my children. I was able to approach a school and say, this is what's going on, because you know your own child better than any teacher. So when I went into school, they were trying to fob me off and saying, no, she's doing great, she's doing this. But I'm saying no, because I am damned if I'm going to let any of my children go through what I went through. No way. Not with the knowledge and understanding that I have now, which I didn't have then. So because this is why I'm so passionate about all of this, because I love people, I love helping people. So why would I want anybody else's children or anybody around me to go through what I've gone through when I could have got the help if I knew? So if your child is at that age, teachers need to be more up on understanding the differences and how our children learn. You may have a child in the classroom and their focus is maths. They just love doing maths and they're excelling at maths. That is what we need to concentrate on, not necessarily doing the things that they're struggling with, because they're not going to find any interest and passion in that. They're not going to focus on that. So it's very important for our schools to understand our children and be able to spot it early. The earliest diagnosis you can get, the better. I was talking to someone today and they were saying, you know, my niece is only 4. And we don't think that she's at the age to. I said, no, hang on. If the school has spotted something, it's time for her to get help, because you can't leave it. Because the longer you leave it, there's going to be a massive learning gap. There's going to be a massive gap where they're going to be struggling to catch up. And it's not easy to catch up once you've missed so much. So once there's something identified, it's important, very important to understand what their learning style is, how they learn things. Are they audio? Are they visual? Do they like to listen to stuff? Do they like to write it? We need to understand all of this. Schools in the UK, they're very reluctant, and I say very reluctant, and I repeat that again, very reluctant in getting them tested to be diagnosed, because there's a cost involved. And that's the issue. So I waited 2 years. Yeah, 2 years for my daughter to get an occupational therapy assessment. And when she got assessed, all of her profiles were spiky. All of her profiles were spiky. So she's borderline and she's got dyslexia, dyspraxia, and she still needs to go for more tests. The waiting list here for her to go further now is over 12 months. This is what I'm trying to say, that some parents have had no choice but to go private and have paid thousands of pounds to get the child assessed so that they can get that support within school. But it's important. And the government need to stop spending money on rubbish and invest in our future children. This is our future generation here. It's not something to play about with. It's nothing to play about with, because when we're gone and God has taken us all, they're the one who's coming up, and they're going to be the kings and queens of our country and doing all of these amazing things. So it's important for them to invest in them from now, you know, and it's a battle that many going to go through. Many parents will have that as a battle within the school system. But all I can say to you, do not give up on your child. Persevere. Do what you need to do. Get that support from people who know. Reach out to me. If I can't help you, I will find someone who can help you. In the workplace as well, a lot of people are in the workplace struggling. Why they're struggling? Because the employer might not recognize anything about dyslexia or know how to deal with dyslexia. It's only recently neurodiversity is becoming to the forefront and everyone's celebrating it, and there's still so much work to be done, because there's many in the workplace, they're struggling. They are struggling, and what will happen is they will leave from job to job to job. Why? Because they're scared of disclosing that they have dyslexia or think that there's something going on, because they're scared of fear of losing their job. There's these things, there's so much going on right now with this, because people are just, they're just there in silence, and that's the biggest thing, without you talking to other people and open up about it as well. It's a big thing, opening up and talk about it. Don't be ashamed. Do not be ashamed. If you feel that something's not wrong, if something is wrong, speak to somebody, speak to someone, and get a better perspective.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, parents, you have a lot to do in your child's own life before it even goes to the school. And I always say that just kindness and showing love to the child and
Patience.
and saying words of empowerment,
Yes.
patience, and all that makes
Yeah.
a lot of difference, because imagine the pressure that exists when the child goes to school, because the child is not performing and all the teachers are focusing on the person, ridiculing by their friends, and then you come home and then of course the home is also on fire, and your parents, all they expect of you is what grade did you get, what mark did you get, without necessarily paying attention to be like, okay, if my child is not good at reading or writing, not getting the result, what else is my child good at? And that's one of the things that failed us. For me, when I failed my junior high school certificate, it wasn't even my parents who realized that I'm good with food. And therefore, if I go to a culinary school would be the best option. It was a friend of mine who was just a year older than me who said, oh, well, I think you're good with food, so go and learn culinary. And at the time when we say someone should learn culinary, um, it's like nothing. People like think about people who go to vocational schools as some people who are dumb and uneducable. But when I did go to the school, that was the turnaround for me. But imagine if my parents had observed me from time to time and showed me love, maybe they could have seen it earlier than and that. And I didn't get diagnosed throughout my life. So I was age 31. And so that is quite deep. So you can imagine the struggles I went through. We do have some questions in
Some
our
questions
comments.
in the chat box. Yeah.
Yes.
Someone's asking, in Ghana here, we don't have the necessary tools to diagnose learning differences, and most of our children are failing because of this. How can you help us, especially as a special education specialist, to help such kids? Right. In that, and I'll answer that one first. This is the thing. what Rosalind is doing right now is creating more awareness. That's one of the biggest things. And I don't know how it works in Ghana, but if you have people out there who can go into the schools to educate the teachers and the school authorities to help them to understand what they need to look out for. That's the first thing. They need to understand what they look at. It might be simple things. It might be like, for example, my daughter, she kept coming home from school every day with a note to say that she's had an accident. Now that was a massive warning for me, because that means coordination, lack of coordination is going on there. So I was able to identify that, wow, it's a hereditary condition. I have it. My other eldest daughter have it. Chances are she may be dyspraxic too. She'd be going up the stairs and she'd be tripping straight up the stairs. She'd be coming down the stairs and she'd be tripping down the stairs. I'd give her something and she'd drop it on the floor. These are little spot pointers. So when you have to be able to observe the children that's in your classroom as well. Identify if there's anything that's just a little bit off. And the best thing you can do is find someone in the area. As I said, I don't know how it works in Ghana, whether they have any centers or whether they have any special education needs. And teachers, over here we call them Senko within the school. So if there's an issue, you go to the school nurse will have a chat with you. This is the process I went through. The school nurse had a chat with me, and from that, it was a referral to talk to the Senko within the school about my what do you call it? That's another thing of dyslexia. You forget what words that you're gonna say. What my issues were and what I was spotting. So I sat down and I talked to them and I told them everything that I was identifying with her, and that was referred to an occupational therapist team within the local government, the local area. But I waited 2 years for that, and I guess I know in the Caribbean, it's only recently that they're starting to do a bit more work in SEND, special education needs, and it's not that popular in many places as well. So what you need to do, seek out any support that's locally in your area and speak to the school. The first thing, because you got to remember that your child is going to spend a lot of time within that school environment. So the teachers will be able to back up whatever you're saying and say, you know what, yeah, I spotted that too, because that's the next place apart from home that they're going to spend most of their time. So it's the first call, speak to the school and then see what the school has to say. And from that, see what support they can offer you. If not, seek out any centers that may be in your area that you can reach out to get some help and support. And I hope that answers that question. Is that Magita?
Yeah, we have Debbie with another question. She says, good evening, everyone. Please, to help those children who find it difficult to express themselves, but rather than crying, how do you help them to catch up with others?
Okay, that's an emotional thing that's going on there. And, you know, in schools, this is a big thing where a child may not be behaving, I'd say, as they want them to, but there's deeper issues that's going on. So they may be frustrated. They may feel like they've got no confidence in speaking up in class. They may be emotional and wanting to cry because they don't know how to express themselves. Because as humans, we have so many emotions going on, and we use other things, other emotion to mask another emotion, what's going on. So in the schools here, if they're saying that a child's not behaving and they're disruptive, they can't sit in the seat, they can't do this, they can't do that, it's something deeper that's happening, and that child is kind of crying out for help in a way, literally crying out for help. And if they want to cry, if they're crying, is to find out what it is, speak to them. Sometimes they're not very good at opening up, but speak to them. And the best thing you can say as well, get them in a great mood, get that what do you call it? There's a special chemical, I can't remember what it's called now, but we all have it when special endorphins, when they're high, we're more open up to talking about certain things. So maybe a treat, you might want to do something special with them, give them that time to be able to spend time with you, quality time, and then they'll be able to open up a little bit more. But I was one of them child growing up, crying everything, I'm bawling, everything I'm bawling. And that sometimes I cry out for help, literally cry out for help. So yeah, I hope that answers that question. But anyone, please reach out to me if you have any further questions. And I know that Rosalind is going to be able to help you as well, if you're in the Africa area, she'll be able to reach out. You can reach out to her and she'll be able to give you a bit of advice if possible.
Fantastic. And the last question we'll be taking on this episode is, what help can a preschool give a dyslexic child? What help can a preschool give a dyslexic child?
When you say preschool, I'm guessing that's young age before them getting to grade 1, as we'd call it here, or year 1 in the UK, grade 1 in Jamaica, year 1 over here. Well, in that case, it's an assessment. The help that you can give to them is kind of find out what's going on. What is it that you spotted? Because the thing with neurodiversity, and many people know this, is if you have one thing going on, say for example, I'm dyslexic and I'm also severe dyspraxic. However, I recently took a test for ADHD and my result came back as 92%. So that's a clear indication there that something else is going on. And I've always known that, you know, because this thing, the way I do things, I'll give you, for example, in my workplace, I used to be embarrassed at anyone coming to my laptop, my computer. Why? Because I would have 60,000 million tabs open at once, because my brain is like that. And sometimes I don't even know which tab that I need to do. And it followed through even in my studies. I'm researching this and I'm researching that, and I have this research paper, I have 20 million research paper open and journal articles. But that's how I am. And we're not necessarily, us dyslexic as well, there's another thing as well. We're not the most neatest and tidiest people either. We're not, because the way our brain do things, and it comes out in other things as well. So I'll give you a laugh. In the office where I used to be, my desk used to be at the front of the office, and everyone used to come to my desk and say, how do you cope with having your desk like that? But to me, it was an organized chaos, because I knew where everything was. I knew that that's how I work. It's not necessarily going to be neat and tidy, but I know where to find my stuff and I know what I'm doing. But so it's the thing is, going back to that, is identify what it is that's going on with the child, because it might be other comorbidities, they call them, so other conditions as well. So if you find a dyslexic person, chances are they have dyspraxia, they might be ADHD, they might be autistic, they might be ASD. There's so many things that can be going on. So the good thing is from that as well, the diagnosis will clarify what it is that's going on, whether they're dyslexic or another learning difference that they may have. Is seeking help as soon as you can for a preschool child, getting that help and getting advice. Any other questions?
We don't have any question. I think that will be the last question we will take before you say your final words. But we are very happy to have our live audience with us, and this is Dyslexia Global Conversations, and today we're hanging out with Keisha, all the way from England. But of course, technology, so we're able to connect with her without her being in Accra. Dyslexia Global Conversation happens every first Friday of the month, and this is our first episode for the year 2022. If you're watching us and you have a fantastic story, if you're dyslexic, you have dyspraxia or dyscalculia, and you want to share
that's
your
another one. I didn't mention that one because I can't pronounce it, guys. Sorry. I'm sure I've got that one too, because I hate maths. That's the one to do with maths.
Right.
And, yeah.
But did you realize I avoided mentioning your last name?
Yes, Keisha Adair Swaby. I know. We struggle. That's another thing that we struggle with so much. You know, pronouncing. We don't like to get anyone's name wrong, so we rather just avoid it full stop.
Avoid it full stop. Like, It's so, but I intentionally, because I'm like, I don't want to be in trouble.
Someone
I don't
wants
want to
some,
make shame.
somebody wants some information. I can certainly send some information to you. And what I can do as well, I'm going to put in the on the Facebook. I've got a test, a basic test, and you can use that to get an indication. And it's not the official assessment, because an assessment is done one-to-one with somebody else, but this is just gives you an
Training
indication of
test,
what's going
training.
on. Yeah, it's a great link.
Yeah.
And you can also, I think you can use it for your children as well. So I've got one somewhere for the children as well that you can check, because it's so important to get that indication from a very, very early age and find out. So yes, I see somebody else has come on camera. Do you have a question, or do you want to join us?
Yes, so we have a question from Jemima, and let's
Oh,
mind
Jemima,
ourselves
yeah.
that will be ending very soon. She's asking, please, does it mean most weak children may have issue with learning disabilities and that we shouldn't attribute it to laziness? So I will share my thoughts, and Keisha will also share her
Yeah.
thoughts. So I always tell people, for you to know someone has any form of learning difficulty, it is through formal assessment only that can be determined. You can have screening and see some of the attributes happening and all that, but before you can tell a child that you are dyslexic or you have this or you have that, it needs to be formally assessed. However, I believe that every child can learn, especially when they are very young, they can learn. Why don't you take interest and kind of use different instructional method of teaching to see which one this child will be good at? And you will determine if the child is lazy. But I don't think any child is lazy. Every child is a star, but it is when we take interest in them and give them the needed support, the resources that will help them to be able to learn at their own level. That is where we can then conclude. And so I will let Keisha also share her opinion on that.
Okay. As I was talking earlier on, and I want us, all of us, to replace, because this is where a lot of the stigma is coming from as well. When we say it's a disability, because as I know that this can be controversial. However, when people hear the word disability and difficulty, they kind of clam up and thinking there is something wrong because they've experienced a difficulty. So this is why I'm always saying I use the word learning difference, because when you say learning difference, it covers so much that's, encompassing being neurodiverse. It's a difference in how we do things, how we say things, how we walk, in everything. So the laziness, yes, we shouldn't attribute it to laziness, because as what Rosalind just said, I'm going to say it's what that child is interested in. It's all about the interest. If you're teaching them maths and they're not interested in maths, they're not going to have the interest to do it. And then that you may think that, you're just lazy because you don't want to do it. You're just projecting your laziness. And it's not the case at all. It's lack of interest. And that is a big thing, because even us as adults, we don't like to do things that we don't like. It's known we don't. If it's a task that we really don't like doing, we'll put it off and we'll procrastinate about it. And we probably won't even do it in the end. So what we're trying to do is to change that narrative. And it's when we change that narrative and say, because a lot of people don't, because of the shame, they don't want anyone to think that there's something wrong with them. That's what's coming out. And especially in our Black community, the stigma of thinking, I'm not good enough, there's something wrong with me, I have a disability, I have a difficulty. And this is one of the things where we have to just always switch it around and show the positivity of being neurodiverse, because neurodiversity covers a whole lot of all of these learning differences and all what we're going through. So with children, it's that when they're young, it's really easy to identify certain things because they're like sponges, really. They just soak everything up, children. So, and whatever they're interested in, they're going to soak that up. Trust me. So never associate anything negative in that way, because that will lead them to clam up as well, and that won't let them open up to talk about it, because they think that if they keep hearing, I've got a disability, they're gonna, that is just putting fuel to the fire, really. It's fueling what the doubts, the low self-esteem that they may be going through, because us neurodiverse people, we do have that thing where we believe that we may not be as good as somebody else who's not going through what we're going through. And that's a big thing, because if you feel like you're not good enough, your self-esteem is going to go down, your confidence is going to go down, your belief in yourself, which is a big thing. We have to empower our children to believe in themselves, that they can be a prime minister, whatever they want to be. They just need that help and that support to get there. So I hope that answers that question. Yeah, but just let us learn to change it around, change the narrative, and say we have got learning differences, because this is what we have. And I cannot let our next generation coming up thinking that there is anything wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with them. We can see that Whoopi Goldberg, Will Smith, Usher, so many amazing people are dyslexic or something going on, but it's not stopped them from achieving whatever greatness they've put their mind to. Nothing stops them. So it's about us changing that narrative and switching things around for it to all be positive. We have to focus on the positive, because we have enough to be contented with. We don't want another thing that we have to be negative about at all. So yeah, I hope that answers that question. But yeah.
Thank you so much. And I believe that answers the question. Eunice is saying, thank you so much. It's great to be in this amazing forum. I'm really enjoying this, and it's helping me as well to cope with my kids. Jemima says, thank you for clarification. And we just want to say thank you to everyone. This is Dyslexia Global Conversation. And today we're hanging out with Keisha Swaby.
Swaby. Rosalind, because it's you, I'm gonna let you off, but it's fine. I get it all the time where I go to the doctor's surgery and they always pronounce it wrong, and go whenever it's get someone that says it right, I always congratulate them and say thank you. But it's fine. Yeah, I do it all the time.
Swaby. Swaby. You see? I should have been just stick with my Keisha and just go away and look at me now. But I wanted to show you something as to if, because you did mention it. When I asked you how do I pronounce it, you did mention, but I actually forgotten how it sounds. Yeah. So I mentioned it as to how I see it.
Yeah.
And this is it. So Keisha, we are actually over time, but we just have a few minutes to wrap up. And I want to know what advice or encouraging words you have with the parents if they are watching, and also a teacher if they are watching. These two people, these will be your parting words with us.
Yeah. For any parents that are watching, my words are to pay attention to your children, pay attention to what they're interested in, pay attention to what they're doing in school. If you see anything whatsoever, do not leave it. Just don't leave and ignore it and think that it's going to go away. Have patience with them as well, to understand that they might do things differently, and that's okay. It's okay, because it would be a boring world if we were all the same and we all did things the same way. I may do something so completely different from Rosalind, but it's fine. As long as it's done, it doesn't really matter, as long as it gets done. But teachers, same again, look at what's going on with the children and equip yourself as well. If there's any teacher on here, all I could ask you is go away and look up, do some research, because knowledge is power. And I will say that again, knowledge is power. I've learned so much by me looking at research, looking at stuff that's out there in the world. And we're in the age right now, there's nothing that we cannot not find on the internet. There's nothing that we can't. I always say, if you can't find it on YouTube or on the internet, it just does not exist. That's one of them. It's hard to find. So use the tools that we have at our fingertips and just go out there and look, research. Look at what the traits are for these learning differences. Look what the traits are for dyslexia. Look at what the traits are for dyspraxia. And from that, when you equip yourself with the knowledge, you'll be able to find the solution to the problem, what's going on. So it's about educating yourself and equipping yourself with that knowledge. And knowledge is the key. And be empowered. As a parent, don't give up on your child and think that, don't give up. Don't think that this is too hard to fight the system. The system is put in place, and the school system is not always equipped for our own children learning styles. So we have to fight it. So we have to ensure that we are getting the support that we need. It's all about the support.
Absolutely. Parents, be there for your children, and teachers, educate yourself. If this is new for you, you're just hearing it. YouTube, I say YouTube is a whole university on its own, and you can actually have like a bachelor's degree within 3 months or 6 months on YouTube if you want.
It's all there for you. It's all there.
It's all there for you. And of course, we have Africa Dyslexia Organization as well, bringing you information on learning difficulties, bringing fantastic people like Keisha to share their experience and their journey to motivate you and share other resources with you as well. Keisha, just talking about resources, if people want to reach out to you, how do they get to you? Or
they can find me. I'm very active. My most amazing place where most of my connections for the neurodiverse, dyslexia, and all of that, I reach out to people. Australia, because as you know, the internet is so brilliant at connecting us. Look at us now. I wish I was in Africa right now, but I'm here in Manchester, sat at home doing this. And that's the great thing of having the connection of the internet. People were saying to me, are you going over to Africa to do it? I said, yeah. Of course I am. I love to be going over to Africa to be speaking today, but I'm here in Manchester. So the internet is there, and reach out to me. LinkedIn, I'm on there, very active on LinkedIn, as you know. Facebook as well, very active on that. Instagram, so you can find me and just reach out to me. If I can't help you, I'll find somebody who can.
Exactly. If she can't help you, she'll find somebody who can. And the thing is, the neurodiversity community, everyone is so kind and nice. And I think it's because we have huge level.
Last weekend in Birmingham at the show, I have all these amazing people on LinkedIn, right? And we have never ever met. I can call on to any one of them on there and ask for help anytime. We've never met, but at the show, it was like a meeting of a reunion from LinkedIn. Everybody that I've been connected with, so many of them were there, and it was just great to meet them in person. So that's what I'm saying. And one day I will be over in Africa speaking at some event. Don't worry, I'm coming over there because I'm on a mission to help our people. And Jamaica, Africa is on the board. Australia as well, because Australia, I cannot say how advanced Australia is in regards to neurodiversity. We think we may be advanced here in the UK, but we're nothing a patch on them when it comes to neurodiversity. It's big there, and it's really recognized in the employers, the schools, and everything. So we have a lot more work to do. And I just want to say congratulations to you, Rosalind. I just want to say thank you. I just want to say well done. I just want to say that, the work that you're doing and bringing about that awareness. Let's mute. Just the awareness that you're bringing out. And I know that it can't be an easy thing that you're doing over there, because you have to have that support network for you. And I just want to say, if you need anything, just reach out to us here in the UK. Please do, because what we've got to remember is we have to help each other. That's the only way it's going to work. and no man's an island, and we all need help from time to time. But one of our biggest thing is us as dyslexic, we don't ask for help much. We try to do everything ourselves, and we have to always understand that there are people out there who's willing to help. You just need to ask. We always have to remember that.
I feel like, I mean, time, it's time, and if anybody will have something to do, you care. But this is quite interesting. I find it that for me as dyslexic, and we have different traits. Like you were talking about how sometimes maybe your desk and they'll be talking. I'm also the person who is like very well structured. And so I will put, let's say, this here, and it's like this, and it has to be like that. If you turn it this way, you have an issue with me. And so when in terms of my work, it's like I have a way of working. And so I always struggle when I'm working with people, especially at a pace, because I'm fast. I need to do it fast, otherwise I'll lose focus.
Yeah.
And when people are just slowing like that, I'm
That's
like,
me. Yeah.
But this is what the people, like our audience watching, you have to know, especially when you are with an adult who is dyslexic, or even a child with dyslexia. You have to learn the way of them. It's not their fault. It's just how they are. Yeah. It's not like maybe they are picky or they don't want to be involved or something like that. It's just how they are. And they are struggling on a daily basis to make sure they don't offend you. Because trust me, when I feel like I've offended someone, I go to bed without sleeping.
Empathy that we have. It's the empathy we can, and we're good at reading other people's feelings as well.
And emotions and all that. So we would not deliberately say that we are hurting you or we don't want you involved. It's just that I'm doing it because I feel like I have to do.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And this is why we can struggle with when you're running a business or you're doing certain things, we can struggle with delegating as well, because we're doing our things the way that we do things. So we're thinking somebody else can't do what I need this to be done, how I need it to be done. So we'll just take on everything and do all of it rather than handing it out to somebody else. Yeah.
Exactly. So I pray that one day we all have the finances and the means we can afford to pay the right benefit to people who can work and deliver. And I think that's one of the strengths Richard Branson have. He is an idea basket, and he's always dreaming idea, and he's not doing, but then he have capable people who execute and bring it to life.
He doesn't deal with paperwork or anything to do with that. He gets somebody who can do it, and that's the way forward. He has the vision, and he knows how to put the vision out there, and then he'll get a manager or whoever is good in that field to do what he needs to be done. So there you go. That's how it is. It is what it is.
Yeah. So one day we'll have all the finances we need, then we can, because for me, I think about like 10 ideas in a day, and I'm like, I feel like I'm like Richard, but I don't have the money. So
full of ideas, but it's executing the idea.
It's an issue, yeah. And we sharing our vulnerability with you guys. It's not like we joking here. It's a reality. This is how our life is, and we just want to share with you so that you, as a mother, you know that if you have a child who is dyslexic or have any form of learning difficulties, this is the struggle to go through. But then there is life, and there is light at the tunnel. But you got to do the work, so that you don't drive your child away from the house. Because some of us have been fortunate, like she discovered 41. She is a fortunate person. I discovered when I was 31. I'm fortunate. Why am I fortunate? Because we could have gotten out of the house just because of frustration and the pressure on us and got into bad hands. And probably we could land in the prisons or somewhere that is not better for you to be proud of us. And so the kindness, the love, and all these that we are sharing is to know that hope is there, but you got to work it out. You got to work it out to make sure it works for you. And for you, a teacher, the reason why I like showing the Mr. Jensen video is be like him, study the child, show love, give support. to that child, because you never know. Your own children may not be the one taking care of you, but it may be a student of you who tomorrow will come and hold your hand when you are old and be like, you made a difference in my life, and therefore I'm going to also pay you back.
Yeah,
This is what
it's
you
so
do.
true. Yeah, because in schools as well, a child never forgets a good teacher. They never do. They never forget a good teacher and what they've done for them and how they've helped them on their way. You know, it's known.
Yeah. And so thank you so much, Keisha, for coming on Dyslexia Global Conversation. It's been honored hanging out with you and hearing your story. And I feel like maybe before, I think our last episode is in November, before November, maybe you kind of bring all the people who will come on Dyslexia Global Conversation together.
Yeah,
and
that would
share
be nice.
Connect and share more stories, and we definitely will bring you back, because I feel like there is more to kind of learn from you guys who are in the developed world, so that we know what we are also doing here. But we are very grateful for your time and your efforts and everything that you're doing. May the good Lord bless you and keep you going, and we'll stay in touch. Many great things are coming our way. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So guys, thank you. Guys, thank you also for your time, for spending more than an hour. I said 45 minutes, but we've exceeded an hour. But I see you're so glued to us today, and thank you for making the time to learn and be informed about what people like us who are experiencing learning differences go through on a daily basis. This is Dyslexia Global Conversation. My name is Rosalind Abigail Trenate, and today I was hanging out with Keisha, and we've had a fantastic moment. Watch out to us next month, first Friday of the month, and we will bring you another episode which is insightful and informative. Thank you, and we will say goodbye to people watching us on Facebook now, and we hope to hang out with you. Don't forget, our training is coming up this month for teachers and parents. It is the last Friday and Saturday of the month, and we are bringing Blessing from Nigeria and Dr. Seti from California to do trainings for teachers and parents. So stay tuned and don't miss